everybody. It's Reclaiming America. We're back again with solving the world's problems with common sense
I'm
approach.
getting in trouble with our producer already.
All the time. And we haven't even
We
started
haven't
the
even
show
started
yet.
the show yet. She's already
And
yelling
you
at
already
us.
got me in trouble. The innocent
You
me.
get yourself in trouble. Who are you kidding?
Now, this is moi.
Oh, moi, boo.
The angel of occurrences. I have a halo over my head.
Just remember, Satan was an angel at one point, too. We need to get her a mic because that was really good. And hopefully it picked up on that.
I am
Wow,
not
what a
even
week, huh?
Well, yeah, we
I
got
don't
so
even
much
know
to
where
talk
to
about.
start, but
why don't we start with January 6th and Shaman?
the QAnon shaman, who is, hold on, I got to use my phone because I want to give him credit.
The guy
Jacob
deserves something.
Chansley,
Who's
known
in
as
jail
the
now for,
QAnon
what, 3
shaman,
years?
right. He got, my understanding was, well, he's been in jail since that hall went down. So that's what, 2+ years, right? Plus, he's got another 4 years on top of it, I believe. Not sure on the exact time. And it all started coming out this week. It's amazing how the truth always manages to find its way out.
And it's amazing what the truth does to certain people.
Mm-hmm.
Got them panicky and running for the whole defilets and digging in, and of course they're firing back with it can't be the truth because it's not what we said.
It's it's funny to me that why did they think they were going to keep this quiet all this time? They had to have thought it was never going to come out. They had to have, because they're going to pay a price now. So if you didn't know, if you've had your head in the sand for the last week or so, or you're my wife Lori and don't pay any attention to this stuff, earlier this week, it was on the Tucker Carlson show.
That's correct.
He somehow got a hold of some video.
No, he was given 40,000 hours of video by our leader of the House of Representatives.
Okay. See, I didn't even know that part.
He was
There you
given
go.
them to review 40 some odd thousand hours of video over January 6th.
2,000 hours a year if you work 40 hours a week. Yeah, I must have had some staffers on that one for a while.
They hired some people to come in and look at those tapes.
But anyway.
Kevin McCarthy said he had sole right to these things and gave him unfettered access.
Right. And of course, now the other side's arguing, well, why'd you give them to him? Well, why did you give them the other stuff to CNN all those years, a couple of years ago? Because they almost pretty much had exclusive access to the bad video. But anyway, the video shows essentially, there was a bunch of stuff, but it shows this Jacob guy, the QAnon shaman, I guess we'll refer to him as that, right? Shaman. Let's go with
Shaman, it's easier.
Who, by the way, he was in the wrong being in there. I'll be the first to say that.
Let's start out with the fact anybody that breached and went into there was wrong. They were guilty of at least trespass.
Definitely.
No argument there.
We're not trying to...
We're not defending them.
Defend it in any way, shape, or form.
However, we are defending the interpretations of some of the stuff
the way things are going now, right. So even back then, both of us were like, this was dumb, right? Again, call me a conspiracy theorist, but there's evidence out there that there were people planted in there to try and get people to go in. It's not a conspiracy theory to state that there is a leader of Black Lives Matter there saying, come on, it's on video, it's been shown. But anyway, none of these people should have done what they did. The majority of them, by the way, they were just going for a stroll.
They walked around the place and...
The doors were open. We're not talking about the people that smashed windows. They shouldn't have been doing that. But there were a large amount of people were just literally following the leader and strolling around and doing what would have been perfectly legal any other day of the year because they have the Capitol open for tours.
With a guide.
Well, as it turns out,
that's true.
As it turns out,
he had his own personal guide.
There were 7 guides for the QAnon shaman, all of them Capitol Police officers, and all of them opening doors for him.
And the man was walking around with no weapons on him at all.
None whatsoever. Everything that I've seen is that he was quite cordial.
And if you've caught when he went in, and when they finally let him into the Senate and they found a door that was open, which is what they were doing, the first thing he did was he got up in front of everybody and he did a prayer thanking the police for all the wonderful things they did.
It's actually on video and audio, so they can't deny that. Now, I will say, back at when that all happened, I slammed him pretty good because, again, he shouldn't have been there, right?
Well, there was word in the very beginning that he was actually a plant, and he was the left that was doing what they had to
Right.
do. That was again a false narrative, but it was out there.
But it was out there. But I was getting it more on the case of, and you and I have talked about this before, and I've talked about it with other people, that nothing good was going to come of this, and it gave the other side a lot of ammunition that they've used for 2 years, a lot of false ammunition also, but at its base, just going in was a mistake.
Mhm.
So setting that aside, let's kind of dive into this a little bit, because they talk about it being an attack on our democracy. This is the attack on our democracy.
This is an attack on our Constitution.
That's where I was going to go with it.
You did right there. Forget
Yeah.
all that. The man was denied his basic rights to jury,
Bing, bing, bing.
and the man was denied the fact that the law simply states that the prosecution has to turn over all relevant information to the event to the defense attorneys so they have a chance to review it and possibly refute it.
Doesn't matter if it's
Good, bad,
good
or
for
indifferent.
him, bad for him,
Or indifferent.
anywhere in between,
Right.
right? They have to turn it over.
And I guess they didn't.
That's what it appears. Now, we're going to have to say it appears that way right now because we don't know for certain, but let's be honest. They didn't turn it over.
The other night on Tucker, his
His
attorney
attorney.
was on the air,
Right.
and he said he'd never seen these.
And I'm trying to be somewhat neutral. The attorney's right, by the way. But I'm gonna.
I'm glad you're neutral, because I'd hate to see
well,
if you were
know,
taking
I'm trying
sides.
to like kind of say, well, maybe the attorney's stretching the truth a little bit. I'm trying. You notice I can't even keep a straight face while I'm doing that. But I mean, you think about it, his attorney's on national TV saying, "I've never seen those before." He's putting his license on trial.
And he's also putting the government on trial
Right.
because now that assistant DA and his staff
Exactly.
is in big trouble. They can lose their licenses to practice.
I
And
mean,
if
they
the
could
DA
all
was
get
involved,
disbarred. And you know, this guy's attorney, if he's going on, various news outlets saying, "Well, I never saw it before," and he did, he's going to get disbarred. So why would he say something like that, knowing
And-
that risk?
think about the money this man's going to make.
Oh, a large.
And I'm not
amount
even
of money.
talking about the book rights. I'm just simply talking about the false arrest, false imprisonment.
He might give Kyle Rittenhouse a run for the money on how much money he's going to rake out of this.
He's going to do well. But again, if you're liberal or you're conservative or you're anywhere in between, this should scare the daylights
This
out
is
of
where
you.
I wanted to go with it. Thank you for bringing that up because this has nothing to do with Democrats and Republicans at this point. As far as the nexus of it, this is a cut and dried. You mentioned the Constitution, right? We have legal rights under the Constitution. Speedy trial, which honestly that didn't happen. There are still people that have not been tried that are sitting in
Jails for 3 years
for
now.
almost 3 years and can't get visitors or any of that. They've gone into the black hole. All right, so that's being violated. Actually, somebody far more experienced and knowledgeable, and they basically rattled off about six of the Bill of the Rights that were being violated over the last few years. But
Absolutely.
anyway, you look at this one, as Bill mentioned earlier. This is an absolute. You must give the defense everything. Period. End of discussion. So clearly they did not.
And worse than that, it exonerated most of the charges against their client.
And that was the point his attorney was saying is, look, we plea bargained because the left is now saying, well, he admitted he was guilty. Well, yes, he did. That's a fair point. But basically, in a nutshell, he was told you get 25 years unless you plead guilty, and then we'll give you, I think it's 4.5.
Yeah, something like that.
All right. And his attorney, who was doing his job, most likely advised him, look, dude, you're looking at 25 or 4.5. You got
And at this
no
point,
shot.
based on what we have,
Yeah.
you were there.
You
There
were
was
there.
trouble.
And there's no question on that.
Right, you were trespassing. Everything leads to you doing X, Y, and Z.
Right.
This may be the best out for you.
This is the best option for you. Take it. Right. And that's basically what the attorney said. But now they could have taken this to a jury. Well, they have one. Who knows? We don't know. Guess what? It's irrelevant. It does not matter whether he would have won or lost had they had this information, because that becomes a moot point now. It's cut and dried. He was not given everything he needed for the defense. That case gets tossed, and Whether it'll be with prejudice or without, I don't know. This is going way up the court system.
Oh, this is going to be sitting in the Supreme
I
Court.
suspect
And
it
I think
will.
it'll be fast tracked because the man's in jail,
Hopefully it will be.
rather than just
Yeah.
the usual 2 to 3 years to get there.
Sometimes longer than that. The bottom line is that this is cut and dried. There's no wiggle room on this.
No, and the problem then becomes, what about everybody else?
Well, that's a fair point, right? Because there are literally thousands of these cases out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how many of them are in the same boat?
We don't know.
No, but now all of them become suspect,
Every case.
except, simple trespass, 90 days, whatever
Yeah,
they
I
give
mean,
you.
simple trespass, I believe, is a misdemeanor. I'm not sure. It's the capital, so
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
But I believe
don't
it's up to 90 days and maybe a fine and or both,
know. Yeah.
but not 3 years, 4 years, 2 years, the rest of your life.
Well, 3 years in jail before you even get to the point where you're
Yeah,
going
or,
to trial.
you know-
And then, yeah. And keep in mind, these people's lives are destroyed, right? They've been destroyed online in the media for 3 years now.
They've lost their homes, they've lost their jobs, they've lost the respect of relatives, friends, and what everything else. And then you're not going to be able to take that back. I mean, you can't
No.
go backwards.
And there's always going to be those people that, because we're seeing them, no matter what comes out, they're going to go, he's still guilty, right? They just can't see the
You
forest
got
for
out
the
on a
trees.
technicality.
Yeah, which that's not wrong, but it's also not right. You know, my concern with all this, and you kind of touched on it, is this is a severe violation of the Constitution by the federal government because it's Department of Justice.
And and like anything else, if you have a prosecuting attorney, for example, that's found guilty of doing X, Y, and Z or hiding evidence, that opens up every case he's ever been on for being suspect. And we have no idea how far-reaching this is going to be.
Do you honestly believe Merrick Garland didn't know about all this?
I don't think Merrick Garland knows what day it is. So let's start with Merrick right
Well,
there.
see, I think he knows every little bit of this. I'm going to disagree with you there. I think he's totally complicit in this. And he was testifying in front of Congress this week before this kind of all came out, or last week. They need to call him back in.
If ignorance were bliss, he's the happiest guy on the block.
Ignorance is not a defense, though, Bill.
It is when you're like him, where you're like Joe Biden.
No, it's not.
Yeah, but you're laughing. So
I know what you're doing, but who's in charge of the DOJ?
nobody.
The buck stops with Garland, period. If he didn't know,
He should have.
that's
known.
every bit as damning as if he did know, as
And
far as I'm concerned.
Somewhere under him, there's an underling that's close to him that knew.
It's kind of like, I hate using this analogy, but going back to World War II, just because Hitler wanted to do some bad things doesn't mean the people under him shouldn't have been doing it. They're all responsible.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes both ways as far as I'm concerned. So here's the question I have for you. Do you think, understanding it's just the House that has the ability to do this right now because the Senate's not going to do anything about this, do you think they will do something?
I think they'll raise the issue. They'll make it, but there's no other power they have with it. They can't really.
Can they indict? I don't know.
They can recommend.
Recommend it. That's what I
They
meant.
can recommend
it.
to the DOJ some sort of an
That
action.
they would indict the leader of the DOJ.
Right,
That's
yeah.
my point. Yeah.
Or they can also pass impeachment. However,
Of Garland,
of Garland.
and then the other side of it, theoretically, you could go after the president for this because
Well, they're gonna pass impeachment. They could pass articles of impeachment on Garland, but it's gonna be tried in the Senate.
it's not going to go anywhere. We
It's
know
about the same way we went with the Trump articles.
that. Right.
It's dead on
It's
arrival.
dead on arrival. But at least they're making the attempt. One of the things we've talked about in the past, over the last couple of years, you and I both, about the Republicans need to start doing stuff, taking action, knowing that it's not going to go anywhere because at least they're
But the people
fighting.
want to see them doing something.
And they're now seeing it, and I'm hoping that they're realizing that, yeah, it's not going anywhere, but it is getting people's attention.
And I'm going to tell you something about your favorite person in the world, aside from me, of course. But your other
I
favorite
was going to
person.
say
in the
my
world.
producer, Greta. Our producer.
I'm going to
sorry,
take you a little
someone.
bit further. Representative David Rouser, who, if you caught him 2 days ago, went on the floor of the House and revealed a major issue that was going on in Wilmington that was 2 weeks ago. No one knew about it, and the State Department ran it.
Tell the audience.
Are you aware of it?
I'm aware of it, but I want you to
Okay.
tell the audience.
2 weeks ago, the State Department, in an infinite, or its lack of infinite wisdom, let me change that,
That's a better way to put it. Yep.
decided that they were going to invite some high-level Cuban officials to take a tour of the Wilmington port to study our security.
Yeah, how wonderful of an idea that's
Now-
that one.
And they did, and that was 2 weeks ago. And our congressman found out about it a day or two ago. He immediately went down to the House floor, exposed it to anybody who would listen, and he also made an interesting statement. Isn't, in fact, the Cuban government on our state-sponsored terrorist list? And if so, why are we
Why?
showing them the security of the Wilmington
Yeah,
port?
let's show you how to get past all the security on the port.
Here's how we secure the place.
Yeah.
But this actually happened 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard about that through the grapevine because it's not being covered on the local media. I have not seen a thing on any of the stations here.
Well, actually, to give Nick Craig credit, he played the speech that Rouser made on the floor a couple days ago
On
on his show.
his show,
So
which
that-
is radio.
which is radio.
Radio, not TV though.
Nope.
Just to clarify on that. So where we are, there are two local stations that own
One-
multiple stations underneath them. They haven't covered anything. Kind of an important thing, I would think, to cover.
I would think that
Pretty
it's
germane
probably
to where we are.
and above has national implications.
And-
Maybe, possibly, could be.
Yeah, it just
But-
shows you where they lie.
But we have to clarify: it is the Federal Department of State that invited him. It wasn't even Homeland Security. It was the Department of State, the same people who told Trump years ago, "You don't decide how the world runs. We make those decisions."
Yeah.
So, and that's a true statement too. They told Trump that we decide how relations with states go. You have no say in it.
It's just interesting seeing all this stuff starting to come out because the curtain's being peeled back.
This is the best way to describe that. This is the ultimate onion, and one layer at a time.
one
is just gonna
very
keep-
slow layer. at
You're
a
opening it
time.
up, and sooner or later, wait till the next one comes up.
And it's like nonstop. We're seeing stuff. I mean, this week there were so many different things going on. There was the hearings that they had discussing the Twitter stuff again, right? There's hearings going on about COVID and all that.
Look, even
Henry's-
she's got her back. He's got his back up about what happened down in
He's-
Wilmington.
yeah,
He's upset by it.
you
Good
know.
for you, Henry.
Yeah.
You probably showed more reaction than most of the people around this county.
They keep
So
blocking Bill's face
congratulations.
because it's definitely going to improve our look.
As always, there I am drowning, and you're the first one there with a glass
There's
of
an anchor
water.
for you.
So we're there doing well. But
Yeah, it's just interesting to see this stuff starting to come out. And I believe a large reason this stuff is starting to happen is because the Republicans have stepped up.
yeah, in the
It's kind
House.
of- in the House. They're not. Well, let's talk about my good buddy Mitch and how his response was to all this video. Well, would you like to pontificate on that?
No, because I promised during Lent I would not use that kind of language with Mitch, so I can't do that. But you do know that, and I don't really wish people very bad things to happen to them, but he did fall yesterday in a.
Oh, I did not know that.
And he's actually in the hospital, or he was.
Oh,
As
we
of
don't know.
yesterday.
We don't know. We'll make fun of him.
But yeah, I don't wish him any real harm. But he's
Yeah.
he was at dinner someplace and managed to trip and fall. I think he thinks he's Biden, but
Now, see, so you're making fun of one and not the other.
that's just a target. Take a choice, A or B. Throw them up in the air, yell pull. We got it. We'll take them both down.
But no, I did not know he had fell, and I wish him speedy recovery because I don't. Even when I like Biden falling up the stairs on the plane, yeah, I laughed. I'm not going to tell you I didn't, but I don't want him to get hurt.
You know
that
what's
way.
amazing though? Think about the few times years ago that Gerald Ford fell up the stairs.
Oh, Chevy Chase
and they wouldn't let that go forever.
He made his entire career on that. Chevy Chase did.
Yep.
He's got no talent. I'm sorry. Every movie he ever made, other than Caddyshack, was awful. But I love Caddyshack. Not to sidetrack.
Whatever turns you on.
It was one of my
but go ahead.
favorite movies. But anyway, he made his whole career getting on Ford about falling. I remember 6-7 years ago, Trump made the mistake of holding onto a railing while coming down,
with the slick shoes on.
and they went nuts
Yeah, they
about
did.
that.
Yeah.
The media is complicit, and they were actually talking about that in some of the congressional hearings.
What bothers me, I believe it's either 9 or 10 state senators who are Republican have all come out attacking uh, Tucker Carlson for this video.
Right. And that's let's go there for a little bit, because that is not good. Because I don't care if you're Republican or Democrat. If you're against this video coming out, you're basically saying you're against the truth coming out.
No,
Yeah.
you're basically also saying they scared me, so
Well,
therefore
of
you
course
can't
that's-
do that.
yeah.
You scared me.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be insulated in my little
Yeah,
palace
I'm in
up
my
here,
little-
and
yeah.
you broke the door down. You
You-
scared me,
You go eat your cake,
and we'll eat it
and
too.
we'll eat it too. Yeah. And again, that's where it's on us as voters to get them out. The next election for each of these people, if I'm running against them, I am making this a number one issue right off the bat. There's other issues, I'm sure, but how do you defend yourself on? Oh, I didn't want to, because exactly what you're saying. The reason they're against it is they don't want to get found out about stuff.
Well, who is it? One of them, and I forget it was either Tillis or it was Mitch, who said they were within 6 or 7 feet of me.
Who cares? Did they do anything?
They were probably throwing little flowers up in the air, but they scared the daylights out of him because he's
You know,
got asthma.
and one of the beefs that I had, I like Dan Crenshaw.
He was one of them too.
He's adamantly slammed people for doing this. Much of what he says is similar to what we said at the beginning. They shouldn't have been doing it, right? But he's taking the next step, right? We're going to charge them. It's treasonous, blah, blah, blah. No, they did something stupid, admittedly. They should be, like you said, charged with trespassing, pay their fine, whatever it is.
If it's 90 days in jail, do it.
But to call them now, what's the penalty for treason, Bill? You were in the military,
Well, pull.
and they're calling to be charged with treason.
Yeah, somebody actually called up and shot, lined up and
Yeah,
shot.
I mean, so when you see somebody like McConnell or Crenshaw saying, "Oh, they should be charged with treason," you want them to be executed.
And Schumer, of course, is singing
Oh,
the same song, but
Chucky.
he's not using the word treason because it's 2 syllables. So he's working on other words that he's working with.
He got in trouble with the producer.
Oh, yeah, again,
That's why
yeah.
I like her so much.
And she keeps me in line.
See, yeah, get your face closer to the microphone. There, so I got you back there, Greta.
But she wasn't smacking, she was smacking me for this. I'll pay for that later.
Yeah, you will. You look at, let's kind of just theorize about this. Why would McConnell do it other than what you said? Is there any political reason from the party level, not an individual level, for them to come out? Like you said, there was 10 odd Republican senators.
There was 9 to 11. And
yeah,
that
somewhere
number,
in there. Why politically would they do this that you can think of?
I think they're afraid of the party. I
They're
hate to say
afraid
that.
of-
They're afraid of the right wing of the party trying to make a move on this. They like the power.
Well, they like their little.
They like
bubble.
the little world that they're living
The little
in.
bubble, yeah.
And you're sticking pins into my balloon. And they're doing that. Unfortunately, some of them have to go. And some of them have been around so
absolutely.
long, they gotta go. They gotta go home.
Do you, not to sidetrack, do you favor term limits? I actually don't know.
Oh yes, I very much do.
Okay. I do too, by the way.
I would very much.
What would you set it at, just out of curiosity?
2 terms in the Senate and 3 terms in the House.
12 years. Mine was 6 in the House and 2 in the Senate, 12 years either
3
way.
terms in the House is 6 years,
Or 3 terms, yeah.
and 2 in the Senate is 12.
Yeah.
And if you combine them, you only get to add 1 rule in the Senate. Beyond, if you've already got 4 to 6 years, you only get 1 more term
You're
in
very
the Senate.
close to me. Mine was 12 years either way. So
Okay.
6 terms in the House.
It's about time we stop making career politicians.
And at every level, not just House.
This country was founded on the citizen soldier, the citizen politician who came, did their job, and went home.
Yeah. I didn't want to sidetrack the conversation, but it was a unique opportunity to ask you because I didn't know. I think that would go a long way towards solving a lot of problems.
Yes, it would.
It eliminates the I'm only trying to get reelected all the time and trying to catch enough money in the coffers to get that reelection done. 'Cause once you're out, you're out.
Yeah, and I don't think there should be a pension entitlement.
You're going to get me going now.
I just don't think they should be entitled to the rest of their life with everything they got thrown at them for at best part-time work. And the word work is probably a little bit expanded on what I mean because
Go
they really
ahead.
don't do that much either.
No, they don't. Their staffers do.
Yeah, but then we don't need these. Yeah.
So I will talk about my good buddy Kirsten Gillibrand. Did you ever meet her?
No, I've been fortunate.
I actually worked with her. She was a partner for a law firm that I was an IT manager for less than a year because I had to get out of there. So this is when she was in the house, and Thanksgiving break comes. She comes in, dials up my office, and says, I need you to come turn on my computer. Not do anything else, just literally push the button because that was beneath her. So down I truck, turn on her computer, get her going. Okay. But her aide was there, and I forget his name. Wonderful guy. So him and I are chit-chatting. We became like friends, like instantly. For whatever reason, we became friends. So long story short, now mind you, this is Thanksgiving week. So it's like Tuesday of Thanksgiving. She was keeping him away from his family because he was from the D.C. area so that he could hand out turkeys on behalf of her.
That
So
sounds
she
about
could be
right.
home with her family. That's an isolated incident for one. They all do that. Both sides, by the way, right? I know you've spoken with many representatives and lobbied and all that stuff. I've lobbied. You're talking to the aides. They work a lot of hours. And it depends what level you're at, even with that. There's the senior aides do one thing, but then you got the little grunts down at the bottom.
Well, it's no different than a law firm where you got those little, you hire the
Oh, the
first
law
year
firm?
people. They do 60-hour weeks where everybody else
60?
does their 20 to 30.
Try 120.
Okay.
I was there.
Okay. I'll
They
take.
they had the law firm, the one partner was, and he was ungodly in the courtroom. He was that good. He worked about 4 hours a week. If he wasn't on a case, like going into court, he worked about 4 hours a week. He would show up Friday morning from like 9 to 1, and then go golfing the rest of the time. But his paralegal, and he had multiple under him. His assistant, the one assistant, easily worked 100 hours every single week. They burned her right out. His paralegals would call me at 2 in the morning, just to let you know we're leaving now, because there was some IT stuff. When you're in a law firm, they have to save everything, so they would call me to make sure I got it saved. Because if you're working on a case, they have to have all that information. Because you're supposed to turn it over to the other side.
Well, we've already been there.
Yeah, right.
We've already done that one.
So they would call me because I would have to verify it was saved. But anyway, long story short, they were there from 6 in the morning till 2 or 3 in the morning, the following morning. So it's not much different in Congress. They don't do as much as you think they do, and they get a hell of a lot of money for it. What, $177,000
Plus.
which AOC said she can't get by on that, bro.
I know.
The poor thing.
And they also get approximately $2 million to run their multiple offices.
Their offices.
Which is non-taxable, but they can hire whoever they want. So, wife, cousin, brother gets a job.
They
It's
never hired me though. I don't know why.
probably because it was the number under your picture.
Yeah, well, that might have something to do with it. No, I was never in prison. Stop telling them that.
I wouldn't say that. I just
Oh,
said
yeah, I
that.
thought you meant my football.
That's why I
number.
first met you. I saw your picture in the post office. I said, "That's a man I got to find."
Oh, okay.
So that's how we
He
met.
keeps trying to get me arrested. I don't know why.
Well, because I want to see when you decide you're a woman, which way you go. I just,
We'll talk about that more later on.
okay.
You look at the term limits just to kind of put a bow on it. I think it needs to happen, and these guys and girls are becoming multimillionaires. How is that happening? There needs to be talk about that, right? We all know how it's happening.
How do
but-
you live in your home area? You maintain some sort of a residence in D.C.
And they're not living in Skid Row in D.C.,
No, no.
let me tell you.
and you're only making $177,000 a year.
And you're worth $100 million now.
Right.
How is that possible? Well, we all know what.
And the other thing that needs to happen is we need to kind of wrap this segment up. And
That's why I saw her stand up. That's why I'm like, let's put a bow on this
yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to take a TV break right now,
TV
and
break.
we're going to think about things coming back. So at this point, I hope you enjoyed what we talked about because we have.
Well, we're just getting started too.
Yeah, and this is the beginning of the top of this iceberg.
I thought you were going to say the beginning of the end. Well, the way we're talking, you never know. The DOJ.
Oh, we never know where we're
We
going to
might
end
end
up in
up
these
with the
conversations.
DOJ coming to get us. You never know.
They're going to come in. They will not leave without some blood.
He said that, not me.
You're right. I did.
I'm going to let it go with that.
That's
Let's go to
fine.
break, Bill, before we get in any more trouble.
YouTube, we love you. How's that? Did we do some good there?
We're already on their shit list, Bill.
Works for me. Anyway, we'll see you soon.
See, we'll be right back.
Welcome us back. It's your turn.
Oh, I'm the one doing it. Oh, well, welcome back to Reclaiming America. You can see we're a professional
Yes,
organization.
we've got this
here.
well organized, like a well-oiled machine.
Did we even tell our names earlier? I'm Dan.
I'm Bill.
Okay, and that's Henry.
Who's the better looking of the three of us?
He's there to make us all look good. That's correct. So you brought up a topic to me earlier this week, which actually I was already aware of. Why don't you kind of start the ball rolling, then get out of my way?
It seems that they've decided that men can enter women's powerlifting.
Powerlifting, correct.
And that and the guy who's doing it claims he's taken sufficient female hormones to negate his maleness.
Okay. So his bone structure's changed?
Neither,
Oh, yeah. No,
neither is the center of gravity
or his
either.
DNA,
All the above.
or his mitochondria, or he can cut things off and add things on, but it ain't going to change his body frame. So let's talk about this a little bit. So for those that don't know, I am a trainer. I have been a trainer for 40 odd years,
And a weightlifter.
and I have been a weightlifter. I have competed. I am a certified strength and conditioning coach, and I'm not saying that to brag. I'm just simply saying I kind of know
What
I'm
he said
talking
was
about.
he's certifiable.
I am certifiable. I'm just saying it because I kind of know what I'm talking about with this stuff. 'Cause,
Yeah, I think you do too.
The answer is going to be he doesn't know what he's talking about. I kind of do. All right. So, look, here's my personal opinion. If someone wants to transition from a guy to a girl or a girl to a guy, I honestly don't care. That's
So-
their business. That's my viewpoint. I don't care. However, having said that, when you're talking about sports, whether it's baseball, football, or in this case, powerlifting, to not acknowledge the differences in the human body that we have, and I don't care how many hormones you take, to not acknowledge them and not even be allowed to talk about them at this point because they're trying to even shut down that conversation is, in my opinion, criminal, right? Because who is getting hurt ultimately by this? Women are.
Up and down the ladder.
So to give perspective, and I have some notes here. Now, I happen to pull up, there's a female powerlifter that I have followed for a number of years. Her name is Becca Swanson. She's really good. She doesn't hold all the records right now, but at one time she did, right? So I pulled her up because I'm familiar with her and I have followed her career. At her best, her squat was 854 pounds, her bench press 600 pounds, and her deadlift 694 pounds. Monster numbers. Bill couldn't do any one of those if I gave him all three lifts combined.
Then there's the other arm.
Yeah, well, that would be me. But honestly, and I was talking with Bill about this off air, I'm almost 60 years old. I have bad knee, 2 bad shoulders, I'm playing football, all that stuff. If I trained enough, there's a very good chance I could break those records at 60 years old. A guy who's in similar age, and I don't remember her age, but let's say 20s and 30s, just for the sake of argument. Powerlifting, pretty much late 20s, early 30s is when you're starting to peak. If a guy goes and competes in the women's division, I don't care if he's taking gallons of hormones, he's still got a physiological advantage.
Mhm.
No woman's going to stand a chance. None. Because powerlifting is about your body frame in the end, right? So a lighter person will not lift as much as a heavier person. So when I competed, that's why you see like the true powerlifters. If you ever watch the Olympics
I
weightlifting,
have.
they have all the different classes. They have to. You know, using Greta as an example, if Greta's competing against me, Greta is literally half my size, probably less than that. She would have no chance of competing with me, even if she was a guy, right? Because of the difference in our body frames. I'm a bigger guy versus a smaller guy. They recognize that. They're okay with that. But they can't seem to make that leap when it comes to, a person transitioning. It's still the same. Your body frame is your body frame. Your bone structure doesn't change. Your muscle, your ability to add muscle doesn't change. I don't care how many hormones you have. Is it not as effective if you're taking a bunch of estrogen? No. You can still build muscle. Women can build muscle, right? It's unfair. No woman is going to win anything anymore in powerlifting. It's over.
And we're proving that in sports every day at NCAA level.
You look at the swimming.
Yeah.
I forgot the gentleman's name.
Yeah, from the
Well,
Pittsburgh.
he's now a woman, so I see. I just insulted him.
He
Now
went from 405th to first in the women's division.
first in the women's division by seconds in a sport where 100th of a second is what things are determined by. I'm a former competitive rower. I was in a men's 4. We would go against the women's 8 that was the United States national champions. They were on my team, and we would wipe the floor with them, right? Until they cheated. Because there was one
They
time
used doors.
we were at the start, and the coach set us up. So we're at the start. You're ready to go. He's like, ready. And then all the girls lifted their shirts up. They had sports bras on underneath. And went, hey, guys. And we all looked, and then he dropped the flag, and then they beat us. That was cheating. Yeah, I'll never forget that. But anyway,
Well, no, that was taking advantage of the situation.
they
And you're
did.
not
Because we did look.
concentrating.
Yeah, we were all like, what? Oh, wait a minute. And again, these ladies worked their tails off that I rode with. They were the U.S. Masters national champions, and we would beat them with half as many people.
The issue that I find disgusting is women's sports have come a long way since Title IX. Okay?
And they should have.
Yeah, not an argument. Yet, what's happening now is destroying the sport and destroying, the very people, quote, the left is going to protect. And you don't hear the women's group
That's
complaining.
where I was going to go. Where is now? Haven't heard a peep from them.
Nope.
You look at
The pink ladies, the whole
the
group.
Pink Hats.
The pink hats. Without going
That's a-
there for more than the pink ladies.
I got to be careful. I'm trying to remember the woman's name that was the swimmer that would have gotten the gold medal in NCAAs.
Right.
She lost by 10 seconds. I don't remember the exact number, which is a huge number in swimming.
Oh, yeah.
She has no chance. She did her very best she could ever do. She set a personal record. She would have beaten every other woman by a significant margin, and yet she's second place. She has no. How do you as a woman? I'm asking you, Greta. How do you as a woman think about that? Just out of curiosity. Sorry, I just threw her under the bus. She was.
I think it's,
Go ahead, I'm putting my mic.
it's absurd.
How would you feel if you were competing?
I have been competing against men my entire life. I was in the Army, which is why in the Army I had to do less push-ups. My time for my
running was a little bit
different
longer.
because they acknowledge the biological differences between men and women.
Now, that's the point I want to make, right? Is you have a highly intelligent woman over here, in Greta, who has far more experience in things than even I do. I'm trying to give her love here, all right?
Okay, I'm just.
But she gets it, right? You look at a PT test in the military. There is differences. In some cases, though, if you're going to be a Navy SEAL, I actually think you pretty much need to meet whatever the criteria are.
And I think they do.
Absolutely.
Right now they do, but there's talk. I saw there's talk they're going to drop down the requirements.
Well, there's talk to dropping the requirements in half of what the military
Yeah.
is doing.
Yeah.
They're lowering it to make sure that people are there.
People
Well,
qualify.
look at what's going on. And again, off topic a little bit,
Mhm.
but the airline industry. 50% of the pilots are going to be hired under uh, bringing in more minorities and women, and they're lowering the standards to do that. You know, you think we would have learned from affirmative action that what ended up happening is everybody looked at this guy or gal and said, "You only got the job because of what you are, not because of your abilities."
You
And
mean Biden's entire cabinet, basically.
yeah, I don't
You know,
call
you
them a
get,
cabinet.
you've got a guy that walks around wearing women's dresses and has lipstick on that's now going to jail for stealing luggage. You got another guy who was a great mayor. I'm trying to be nice. Who's running our transportation department, and there's trains falling off tracks across the entire country.
But you know he was serious about it because he went to a spill area with everything. The place was a mess, and he wore his new dress shoes, which made all the sense in the world to do a tour.
But it's Trump's fault.
Of course it is.
So, you know, another train derailed, I think it was yesterday. I literally heard him blame Trump for it. I'm like, what? You know, circling back to what we were talking about, though, is there is nothing right about this. I'm sorry. My solution, and I'll ask you yours in a second, is that you've got one of two options. If you're going to go all in on this, then there is no such thing as male-female divisions. Everyone competes. Whoever wins, wins. That's option A. No women will ever win anything. Option B is you go men's, women, divisions, women's division, and then trans division. You know, they don't like that term, but whatever term you want to use so that they can compete. Because it is only fair that they get a chance to compete. I just think it's ridiculous they're competing against people who biologically cannot compete with them.
See, and I'm going to disagree with you.
Feel free.
I would simply go with there's a male and a female, and that's what you're going to compete
That's
in.
fine.
And if your body, you know, God, I hate to say this, God,
Whatever
given
you were
so much
born
on-
with.
that's what you're running with.
So, and I get your point. You know, we're not really that far apart.
No,
You know. And I understand it, and I respect what you're saying. I absolutely do.
you can't say because a person is transitioning from male to female or whatever else, and most of it's male to female. I don't see a lot coming the other way.
I honestly don't know.
I don't hear about it anyway.
I hate to say this. It's a non-issue to me. I don't care.
But
People can do whatever they want. That's the libertarian
you know,
in me.
the answer is going to be well that they're not as weak, whatever. They're not whatever. You know, the bottom line is not everybody can do everything. I am not made to be a long distance runner. Okay.
No.
No, as hard as that is to believe. Yeah.
Well, I mean, take it a step further. Then why do we have age differences, age handicaps?
That's a good point. That's an
You
excellent
know,
point.
you got the PGA. Why would you separate 50 and up from
the
younger?
senior group.
Why would you in rowing? It's all by age. Everything's split up in age divisions. Boxing is weight divisions. Why would you have that? Everybody's equal. Put them all in one. Right? So a 115-pound guy can go against me.
Heavyweight champion
and
of
I'll
the world.
squash
We'll
him
see
like
how
a
that-
bug. Yeah. It's become to a level of absurdity that we, you know, the same people that scream, we got to listen to the science, which is all falling apart right now, are also the very same people that are like,
You got Henry upset again.
yeah, he's all fired up now.
He's taking that on again. You got him just really.
Look at him. He's like ready to go, man.
Nope. He doesn't agree. You saw that. Nope.
I just, you know, I think about my daughters. My one daughter plays softball. Does she play with guys? Yes. She's very good. She hangs with most of them as far as, you know, what she can do. Top level, no. She's not going to beat.
No. and
She
that's
can't hit
true.
the ball as far. She can't throw it as fast. You know, well, there's another one, Serena Williams. Hands down, best women's tennis player ever.
Probably so.
I think she is. Some would argue Navratilova and all that. Okay, fine, whatever. The thing is she and her sister threw out a challenge. Any male not in the top, I think it was 200, ranked. So one guy played him. Beat her 6-1, beat the other one 6-0. Wiped the floor with him.
You see, but we go back in history. They made the money off that. That was a money play.
Absolutely it
We
was.
go back to Billie Jean King.
Oh, I was going to go there. I mean, again, How old was he at the time? 70?
There's got to be 30 years difference between
Easily.
the
And she was the best women's
two of them.
player there was.
Yep.
And she almost lost. And don't think that wasn't rigged, pun intended.
Oh,
That was rigged. I remember watching
and he
that.
left all the way to the bank.
Oh, it was a money making thing.
Sure, and that's-
Absolutely it was. But had he seriously played, he would have beat her, I think. And that's not a knock on her. She played at an elite level. I mean, clearly she was going full out. I remember it well. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Oh, I'm sure it's out there.
The whole workout, it was the whole battle of the sexes. And
You want to talk about hyping?
oh my God. And kudos to both of them because they made millions on it.
Yeah,
God bless him for doing that.
Mr. Riggs really wasn't very rich at the time, but he left there.
You know, he
He
walked
did
out of
very
there
well
with-
when he walked
Yes,
out of
he
there,
did.
smiling all the way to the bank.
You know, I just going back to the powerlifting again. I maybe even to this level, a person who's essentially just working out on their own, not really that talented as a guy, with enough training, would beat every female.
You see, now I go back a level for you. You're talking college level. I go back to the high school level, where these young women are competing for scholarships. That
Oh, they
may-
have no chance now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which may make the difference in them going to school or not and getting a whole life changing event. But they're not going to get that money because some guy decided today I'm a girl, and I'm going to compete as a
And
girl.
that's what Title IX was all about.
That's exactly what Title IX was about.
You know, I'll use rowing again as an example. Where the club that I rowed with, Saratoga Rowing, has an elite level high school team. The women 8, the girls 8, they call it the girls 8. Basically, they all get Division I scholarships. If let's say this affected rowing and it was all going to be everybody rows together and guys could now row, none of those girls would get a scholarship. How wrong is that?
Especially when, guys and gals put their life to become an athlete. I mean, they sacrifice so much to get to the level of expertise. I have 2 grandsons playing at the college level in soccer, and I know what went through to get them there, what my son did, what his wife did to get him there, and what those kids put out.
Yep.
To have this turnaround, my daughter, fortunately for me, chose not. She played high school ball, 3 different levels, and she chose not to go on. There's a whole story behind that one day with me and the Army and her, and we'll talk one
Oh
day.
boy, I don't know if I want to know.
You got me now. She was playing 3 sports in high school.
I knew it was
You got
coming.
me going. I'm going to do
He
this.
couldn't
now.
resist. I knew it was coming.
Basketball,
Stop banging the table, you're gonna get in
volleyball,
trouble.
and softball, and was outstanding
Basketball,
at all
volleyball.
3.
Okay, yep.
Was outstanding. She had played Empire State Games, was all over the place.
Oh, that's
She had done well. She went to camps at West Point, et cetera, et cetera. So one summer before her senior year, I was in the reserves, and I spent the summer either in training, away at schools, whatever else. So I'm gone for 2.5 months. Okay, I come walking in, and
So does
knows
Henry.
about this.
He just comes walking in too. He's fired
and
up.
she looks at me and goes, "Well, you did it again, Dad, but it didn't work because I told them no."
What was that you did?
And that's exactly what I asked. What was that I did? She got a call from West Point, and they offered her an immediate appointment if she would play sports for them. But she knew that I pulled strings to make that happen, and I didn't have a clue. So,
Oh, okay.
so
Gotcha.
that was. I still look about that and think about the 4 years of college I paid for.
Yeah, but she would have had to give 8 years. Is it 8 years after West Point?
6.
6. Okay.
And those
I
that go
wouldn't
to
have
West
turned that
Point
down.
that want to come out, take your ring and go down and knock in Wall Street
Yeah.
and decide where you're going to work.
Mhm. Yeah, she'd be doing quite well. But hey,
she's doing
but
very
she
well
wouldn't
now.
have that opportunity.
No, she'd
It
have
would be
been
gone.
beat up
And
through.
that's our point, right? It's
And by the way, I'm going to be in trouble for telling that story.
people don't understand. They see the surface level. Well, we've got to give everyone a chance. Let's look at the depth behind this. You're basically telling women's sports, bye-bye. There's this whole fight, pay women equally in sports. I mean, we could do a whole show on that. Well,
you
why
want
would that argument would go away? Because there would be no women's sports.
You want to took the $6 or $8 that soccer took out of their pocket to send to the other
Don't
team?
get me going, Bill.
Okay, I'm just checking.
Don't get me going. Um, I just sit here and think, you know, all that women have done for the last 50 odd years,
Going out the window because
literally
of
is going to
stupidity.
go out the window. It
For
really
stupidity.
is because of I don't even know what the percentage of the population
And
is.
all the young women, and I go back to the high school level because that's where they're hurt the most. You know, let's be
'cause
honest with it. The
educational
greater
opportunities.
majority of the athletes that play at college are never going beyond that into
Nope.
the professional world.
Nope.
The greater majority, okay? But in high school, that top 2 or 3 in each school has got an excellent chance for a partial to a full ride to school, life-changing events. And they're going to lose it all because some guy said, I'm a girl. And I'll even take it beyond that because some of the schools are letting them dress with the girls. And I will tell you that if it was my daughter, there would be trouble because I'm not having my daughter at that age stripping with some guy in there showing his parts because he feels like a girl.
Or
today.
the other way, for that matter. It's just not right. Remember a few years back when they were saying the women's sportscasters need to be able to get into them.
I remember that, yeah.
I had a big issue with that because
I did too.
they're literally. If you've ever been in a football locker room, guys walk around with nothing on all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, that is
It's the way
the norm.
It is.
And they're still doing it, by the way, even with the female reporters in there, I'm sure. I haven't been in an NFL locker room, but do they need to have access to the athletes? Yes, they do. Is it fair that the men sports writers had better access? Okay, I'll give you that. Just create a separate room. All the sports writers go here. Leave the locker room alone. Simple.
And they got to walk
solution.
out that way, solve the problem.
So okay, well you can mandate that they do it. They actually do mandate press conferences.
Yeah, I know they do.
So that's all you had to do. No more sports writers in the locker room. We'll have a separate room. Problem solved. Nope. We had to fight to let the women in there.
And then you have two levels of guys in there: the ones that are embarrassed because of the situation, and the ones that are going to prove the macho bit.
Oh yeah, and
You know, and I felt bad for the sports ladies at that point because
exactly.
you know they could go in there and look high if they wanted to. Let's put it that way. But some guys went out of their way to prove their point.
But again, it speaks to as you put it, this stupidity. There's a simple solution, but we can't do that solution.
Common sense approach. Common
Common
sense
sense.
is not all that common.
No, and unfortunately, I think it's only going to get worse.
Unless we crack things down and we do something about it.
People have to have the stomach to do it. Most people won't talk like you and I are.
Yeah, but you know what? Somebody said something to me about what's going on and why we're not mad enough where we are. Enough people have not been burned by it. And when enough
Fair
people
point.
get burned by it, then people do things about it. Right now, it's in most cases, it's my neighbor's kid or somebody's down in another city, whatever. It's not affecting me. Make it my daughter, in this particular case. Make it my sister. You know,
Whatever.
pick one.
Yeah.
Now I have a vested interest in this thing. My granddaughter. Okay. Now I vested, and now I get mad as hell. But too many people and too many of our issues, which is one of the reasons we think that we didn't do as well in this election in 2022 as we thought we would.
Wasn't
because
enough pain yet.
Not enough pain was out there yet. But I have great faith in the Democratic Party that they will get that pain out of there before 2024.
Well, they're also spinning it because it's a booming economy, Bill.
But you know what? You can say what you want to say, but when that couple has to go to the store and buy groceries, or they got to pay an electric bill, or they got to figure out where the car payment's coming from. But the other thing that bothers me, and I'm probably getting in trouble for this for a neighbor too, but I was talking to a neighbor about this today, and he was explaining to me about his daughter, and her solution to her monthly payments on whatever she's paying on out of her checkbook,
Mm-hmm.
she knows it's over when they stop taking it. Yep. And I just look at amazed at this thing because she's not hurt yet.
But she will be eventually.
Sooner or later,
and it's going to happen.
She and her significant other, that's the way they live. But the reality is still when the pain starts with enough people, that's when change starts. But we haven't hurt enough people yet.
And until it affects a high level in sports, no offense to the NCAA, but NCAA swimming, great sport, but it's not high level unless you're getting to the Olympics in swimming, right? If it affects the Olympics, that's when the pain will hit. So if you see, I don't know where the next Olympics are, Summer Olympics are,
I'm not
wherever
sure.
they are, but if the person, I don't know what to call it, that won the NCAAs is going to go to the Olympics. I mean, he wiped the floor with everybody. He should be competing for the U.S. on the women's team.
Doesn't he have to try out?
He's going to win.
Not the point.
Yeah.
Because then you have to go with what the Olympics rules are.
Well, they're not going to. Come on, Bill.
I'm not sure about that.
I
I'm not
do.
sure where they're going to go.
I don't think the Olympic Committee's got the balls, pun intended, to put their
They're
foot
on the
down.
wrong side of that
Yeah,
sport.
well, to put their foot down. I don't think they do. I think they'll cave just like the NCAA did.
They could.
And that's when it'll happen, right?
Or when you have enough women professional sports taken over by guys.
That's the other point, yeah.
You
So, you start
Let's be
seeing
honest,
the
you start-
WNBA.
Yes, see a couple of those guys moving over
Well,
there.
let's use soccer. So there's the infamous story out there. The World Cup team from Australia, I believe it was Australia, played a boys' high school team and lost like 6-0.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that.
I mean, come on. Okay. That's not knocking the ladies. It's simple biology. Men are faster, bigger, stronger. It's reality.
There's a different game being played. In many cases, when you look at a woman's sport, there's a lot of finesse in the sport.
Oh,
You know-
absolutely there is. Yes.
Versus the guys are just get out of my way, man. I'm coming. But when you bring that to a woman's sport, you got issues.
Well, let's use football. So there's women's football. They're in lingerie. but there's women's football. But
I don't think I was going to go there.
when
with
I
that one,
played
no.
when I played on one of my teams, we had a woman, and she worked harder than anyone else. To her credit, she was for a woman, and I hate putting it that way, but I have to. She was outstanding.
What was her position?
She was a linebacker. She played by. I was a nose tackle. She played behind me. So guess who had to cover her all the time? Because if I'm playing against a guard that weighs 350, and she weighed like probably 250 ish, she would have gotten erased off the field. She did everything right. Everything right. I have nothing but admiration for her. She didn't stand a chance in a game. Right? She got into a few games, but she would have gotten destroyed. It happened. I got destroyed, and I was a heck of a lot bigger and stronger.
Well, I even look at one point I was looking at women became place kickers for a while in the football game. But the guys have taken that away from them with the soccer because now most of these players they find a soccer kid because the soccer kid can kick
Well,
that ball 50 yards.
First of all, place kickers, they're not football players. Yeah, I said it. Okay. You've never.
That
played.
was not on my side of the
I-
table.
I will fully take credit for that one, having been a lineman. Okay, but setting all kidding aside, so you'll see that they periodically show this woman kicking field goals, right? If you actually watch one, there's not 11 300-pound guys coming at her. First of all, second of all, she runs. Most of the ones I've seen, they're running up 5 to 10 yards. Whereas the NFL place kickers basically are moving 3, right? They take 3 steps and kick. Whereas if you watch the women doing it, they're hitting off a tee a lot of the times instead of a holder. That makes a difference. They still are only getting 35, 40 yards. They're not kicking 60 to 70 like the elites do. And they don't have 11 guys coming at them. It's not apples to apples. I don't see a female place kicker anytime soon in the NFL.
Anymore.
I just don't.
Well, we'll have a guy that says he's a woman and now wants to play.
Well, yeah, but
we'll have a double. Was that a transgender gender?
first thing that's going to happen is the Oakland Raiders or some other team like that is going to take the 15-yard penalty and lay him or her out.
You think?
And you know it's coming because that's one of my jobs on the kickoff team. I've told you about this before. My job was to get the kicker.
And it didn't matter.
Didn't
about
matter where the
15
ball was
yards.
going. Go get him, and if you get a 15-yard penalty, I'm good with that. So first play of the game on the kickoff.
Okay. We need to wrap this up now because the boss is telling us we're going to be in trouble if we don't.
When
and
aren't
I've
we?
gotten enough trouble already.
When are we in trouble?
So anyway, I think we've addressed that issue
I
pretty
think
well,
we've
and I think
put
we had a
them-
common sense solution.
We do,
But nobody's going to listen to us. But hopefully someone might.
but at least we had the guts to talk about it.
That's true. So anyway, this is Bill and Dan, and we'll see you soon. Anyway, welcome back to Reclaiming America. Dan and I have been having a great show today. We're going to talk a little bit about 4 Americans who, depending who you want to listen to, went down for an operation or to trade for some stuff.
Yeah, I've heard so many different things. I don't know what the actual reason they went over the border was.
Bill, we want to talk to it. I mean, some people say they got history of drug sales.
yeah.
The others say that a woman went down there for some surgery again and took 3 people along to watch her.
Let's give them the benefit of the doubt and say it was a positive thing. I don't know.
And anyway, somehow
it's irrelevant,
they were,
really.
they were attacked, and 2 of the 4 were killed, and
Mm-hmm.
2 of them were returned eventually. There's been a lot of irate people about this, both sides of the fence. But what was
Literally.
fascinating about it, well, you see, they could get through the fence because it wasn't a big problem.
What fence? But anyway.
What was fascinating about the whole thing is today, or last night or this morning, the cartel caught the 5 people who did the killing and the attack. They tied them up. They put them in some central location. They said this was not sanctioned, authorized. Pick the word you want. America, we're sorry, and they're yours.
I just so much to say on this. It's a terrible situation. First of all, let's say that. Feel bad for the 2 that
And the families.
and the families.
Well,
The
to
2
be-
that are back, I think one of them is still pretty seriously hurt.
I don't know. Not sure about that
I
one.
saw a blurb on the news. One's from South Carolina, I believe. The other's from
They were off in the Carolinas. I
yeah,
think.
something like that. But one is still has major surgeries and all that. Let's hope he gets well soon, or she. I'm
Yeah,
not
we
sure
don't
which one it
wish
was.
anybody ill will.
No, we don't. That all said, I mean, again, it speaks to. I think you consider it right up there the border issue, and because that's tied in with the drug issue. They're intertwined. To try and separate them is foolish, and people do try and do that. To see that the cartels are in charge of Mexico. I mean, there might be some small areas they're not, but for the most part, they
But
are.
what I find fascinating is this is the first time the cartels were it appeared to be
That's-
frightened over it.
It seems to me like, well, they are in effect the Mexican government. I'm sorry, I'm going to
Oh,
say
that's
it.
true.
I'm going to say it, right? It's interesting that for whatever reason, they got scared. I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if that's a good term.
At least concerned.
Concerned, worried, whatever phrase
one.
you want to use, that because this was starting to snowball and it was affecting the border. They want that border open because they're shipping drugs across that thing like crazy.
The only thing I can think of is they were having a Trump nightmare because
Well, this was, yeah, you're right, actually. They're trying to stop it from blowing up into an even bigger issue than it is, right? Americans crossing the border getting killed. That is an issue, right?
I'm also amazed that there's anybody left in Mexico to cross over to see. As a side note, they're all here now.
That would be Bill Moore.
Me llamo Dan.
They did what they did. I mean, I guess we got to give them credit.
I don't understand why they did it. I still do not.
I think they did it because they were really worried it was going to blow up even more than it, because it is legitimate.
Yeah, but
Trump would have hammered this.
Yeah, but I have a surprise for you.
Still going to do
Trump's
it.
not in charge.
Not right now, but the election's coming.
It's 2 years from now.
It's still. The election started already.
Yeah, but for him to be in a position to do anything about
No,
it.
I'm talking campaigning. It now has the ammunition to go, see, you can't even cross the border for whatever reason these people did, and you're going to get killed,
Maybe-
and blah blah blah.
Maybe
and
politically they want to keep Biden alive.
I think
maybe.
I think it's yeah, it was to help Biden. That's exactly what I'm saying, because they love Biden.
Well, who wouldn't?
They're making trillions of dollars with the wide open border. Not even billions. All right.
Between the fentanyl, between the transporting all the illegals that they're bringing across at a high price. Unfortunately, the slavery issues that they're taking too many of these men and women into, slave labor, sex camps, pick one.
Human trafficking,
Yeah.
so in a nutshell, that's what we're talking about. The fentanyl. I mean, it was on the news this week. I mean, the Congress is starting to look at it. The Republicans in the House are like, we need to start addressing this. It's about time, by the way. More people die from fentanyl overdoses than everything else combined. Young people. It's coming from China, and it's the cartels shipping it up here. That's what it is. So, yeah, they're worried about the border getting tightened down because they've got it made right now. You see the big busts. Oh, we got X tons of whatever.
And that's if
It's a
that's
frac-
5% of what they
It's
took.
not even a fraction of 1%, Bill. Come on.
I'm being generous.
It's probably 1/10 of 1% of what's coming across on a given day, let alone a total. That's why they did it. I think
I have the secret hope that Biden sent them the message that if they didn't do that, he was unleashing the military to come in and deal with it.
okay. And there's unicorns flying around, farting fairy dust and rainbows, too. I guess.
It's in the same dream. It's in the same dream.
And what's interesting is you didn't really hear much from the Biden administration, other than, "Oh, this is bad. We're looking into it." Karine, whatever her name
The
is.
State Department's got it under
We're
control.
looking at, we're going to address it. Do something about it. We have the best military in the world. Tell Mexico, here's the deal.
Well, don't forget, we have our leader, thoroughly modern Millie.
I mean,
That should get me
you're
court-martialed
going
somewhere
well,
down
I
the
was
road.
gonna say, you better watch out. They'll pull your retirement.
They have to deal with Wanda. Okay.
They don't want to do that.
I'll just say-
Him, no problem. That one.
We'll send in the first line.
I mean, and even under Trump, I said this. Why aren't we saying to Mexico, clean your act up? You got 2 years, whatever time frame we get. Otherwise, we're stepping in. Yeah,
Well, it's a variation of the Monroe Doctrine. We said we
it's
protect
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah. The Chinese are using it, so that's their
their
influence.
their
power.
argument would be, well, that would be an invasion of Mexico. Well, what's happening in reverse?
Well, and if you have not paid attention in South America, Central America, and I've taken some tours down there on vacations, the Chinese influence down there is
It's
humongous.
tremendous. It's tremendous.
You'll be traveling through if you're one of a banana boat or a third world nation down there, and suddenly this massive cultural center from China is there,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about state of the art.
Yeah.
And they're helping the people. They're doing the 100-year plan, playing the long game.
Give them credit. They know what they're doing.
They do.
And they will win in the end if we don't realize it. You and I are realizing it, and I would hope that our military is, but
Depends who's in charge.
well, we don't be good. The thing is, how many thousands of Americans are dying every day from the drugs? How many hundreds, thousands of people are dying from the human trafficking?
And how many? And you multiply that times the families.
And then I was going to go and now take all the people that didn't die, right, of all that.
or
all
the families of those that
suffering,
lost somebody.
right, all that suffering that's going on. Why aren't we doing anything about it? And it's, by the way, I will say it's both sides. Both Republicans and Democrats have to take blame for this, because this is not something that's happened in the last 2 years.
Well, to defend at some point, there was a wall being put in to at least cut it back a little place. So that was going on, and you also had.
I'm talking
Mexi-
about taking the cartels out.
Well, you want to talk about taking the cartels out? I agree. Even our government right now, the Republicans are dancing in Congress. We want to use the military, but only for drones and intelligence. And send them over there and at least. gather
that would
intel.
be something. I would go, yes, thank you. At least you're doing that. They're not doing anything right now.
Well, they're actually trying to get it through Congress.
which we both know.
Is not going to happen.
not
But at
gonna
least
happen.
they're trying. Remember, we agreed.
Yeah,
They gotta
but I
try.
mean, I'm saying if the military said, "Hey, we're going to do drone strikes or whatever," and I'm not a fan, by the way, of drone strikes. I think they have their pluses, they have their minuses. Seems
Especially
to
if
be
you're at the end of the drone
well, it
strike.
seems to be a lot of collateral damage with a lot of them, and I hate seeing that. I get it, I know why it happens, but
But you also have to understand, for want of a better term, the enemy, let's call them the enemy or the targets, they purposely put themselves
they
in
do.
places, surrounding themselves with collateral damage, so
correct.
to speak.
It's not like they don't know what they're doing.
Oh,
They
they're
know
doing it on purpose.
exactly
So
what they're
therefore,
doing.
that if you get them, it's still going to look
Right.
like you killed all these other people.
But it's sad what's going on to see that many people dying of fentanyl overdoses. And could you stop it completely? No, that's not realistic. Could you put a huge dent in it? Yeah, you could, and it would not be that hard.
No,
But we don't have the stomach to do it. And
which
go ahead.
questions me. Follow the money. It's an oldest line in the
There
world.
you go.
Follow the money.
Yeah.
There's money going someplace. Why this is not happening?
It's not going to you and I can tell you that much.
I saw you drive in that new Mercedes.
In
I
my
mean,
12-year-old van, yeah. Woo, baby.
you want the answer.
It
You
is.
follow the money. Where is the money going to cover this? Because someone's getting paid.
Someone's
well.
making a lot of money.
And we're not talking about the agents at the lower level. We're talking about somewhere big time. Someone's making policy decisions
Right.
based on that money.
Right.
Even he knows. Look,
There he goes again.
Got
See,
his
now you got
back up
Henry
over follow the
upset
money.
again.
He agrees. This is our
He does not hide his feelings at all.
no. But I think also it kind of just talks about how when we get the right thing going, he's right in
And
it.
he's very smart because he always blocks your face, not mine.
And he actually aims if there's a mistake, it'll come right at me too. We'll go there.
There he is. Anything else you want to add on this topic?
I think we've pushed it as far as we can go.
I think we have to. We could go for an hour, but I think we would just
covered the high
repeating.
points
Yeah,
on
we've
this one.
hit the important parts, right? So
Anyway, I think we're going to wrap this one.
I think it's a wrap for the show.
Reclaiming America.
This is what you get. So
Common sense
yeah.
approach to common issues or not so common issues.
Or yeah. Hey, if you've watched this far, you got to hit that like button, right?
Yeah. And you got to help us get it
Help.
out to your friends because they're not letting us advertise
If
anywhere.
you don't like us, hit the dislike button. We're okay with that because it still helps us push on your algorithm.
Or call people you don't like because they'll like us.
Comment. So one of the things that we are hoping is to have people comment and let us know what you think about what we're saying, good, bad, or indifferent.
Yeah, and
we're
just
open.
Get us some information and we'll react to
Yeah,
it.
we'll react to it. If there's a story you want us to cover, something we haven't talked about, we try and stay timely, but we miss things or there's so much to talk about
Oh God.
that we could have done about 10 different topics this
We
week
could meet
alone.
almost daily.
Yeah, well, it's something we might need to think about at some point. Subscribe to the channel because, as Bill mentioned, we're already on YouTube shit list, and they're not pushing us. And I kind of knew that was going to happen. You can help though because it is computerized. If you give us a like, if you share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. That's all we're asking. We put a lot of effort into this, and we welcome your comments and all that. But
And as an additional surprise and bonus, when we hit 10,000 likes, we're going to bring our executive producer right over here and let you see the level that we are working for, the lady who's in charge of us. So 10,000 likes.
10,000 likes.
There you go. And if you really want to see Greta, and I trust you will, and you have to trust us, then give us 10,000 likes, and she'll be sitting here at least for one show, smacking us right from the back of the
Wait a
head.
minute. Will you wear marine dress blues?
I'm not a Marine.
I know that. That was my point.
Oh, that was even.
No.
For 10,000 viewers,
For 10,000, are you supplying the uniform?
I will buy it.
Oh, you don't know what they cost, sir.
You have no clue what you're talking about.
No, I don't. You're
You want to
right.
write four-figure check to start
There's Army surplus.
in a Marine place in an Army surplus? You
I'm
don't
just
know
messing with her because she's Army. I'll tell you what. You will dress up in marine blues.
No,
No,
I cannot become a Marine. My parents are married.
I know my father.
I'm just getting these two going because it's just fun to do the two of them.
Yep. I told you.
Look at them. They're both.
High diddle doodle right up the middle is not
Greta's
sound tactics.
Greta's giving me dagger eyes, and Bill's like speechless at this point. I do enjoy
There-
poking the
there-
bear,
there's
don't
certain
I?
things flashing through my head, and I'm sorting through which one I want to use.
You gotta think of something.
Yeah, but it's fun.
10,000
note-
views, and she wears that, and you come in a Speedo.
I'll do that. Careful what you threaten. Greta's dying over here.
That will be one of the shows will just be audio that day for the sake of for the sake of all our viewers.
I don't care if what y'all wear as long as we get 10,000.
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
There you go.
All kidding aside, give us a like.
Yeah,
all right.
bring 9,999 of your friends
subscribe,
along
yeah.
and get it done.
And if you don't like us, you still got Henry. How could you not like Henry?
You can't not like
There
Henry.
you go.
And
that
or
right there.
his owner.
Don't try and suck up to her now because I got us in trouble.
Mother. I'm the mother.
I'm a dead man. I'm surrounded.
Wait till my daughter hears what I did.
Oh, yeah. So, anyway, let's wrap this up.
Anyway,
We'll see you next week on Reclaiming America.
see you soon, everybody.